Welcome. My name's Alex Herring. I'm a teacher here at APS, and I'm going to be walking you all through the updates of the Standard-Based Progress Report Card, SBPR. I'm going to talk about why those changes were made, how they came about, and how they're going to help teachers and families better understand student progress. Thanks for joining me in unwrapping the changes to the Standards-Based Progress Report, the SBPR, for elementary schools. As many of you know, it has changed and been updated. Amazing team of educators from across APS working in partnership with district and union leaders, carefully reviewed a lot of the feedback and have redesigned the SBPR, hopefully to improve clarity, consistency, and alignment for both teachers and families. In this video, we're gonna talk about the recent changes, the process, and hopefully the rationale behind some of those updates. We're also going to be sharing a lot of great resources at the end of this video around standards-based grading, assessment, reporting. If you were looking for how to fill out the SBPR, there's another great video that we're uploading that will walk you through step-by-step in Synergy how to do that. A task force came together of APS district leaders and representatives from the Albuquerque Teachers Federation to re-envision, take in multiple perspectives on how we could improve the SBPR. And we took in a lot of feedback from you all, really put our heads together, worked to balance district responsibilities with clear reporting, and also teachers' firsthand experience in the classroom around instruction and family and those conversations. Hopefully the result is improved SBPR that will be easier for many of you all to use, easier for families to interpret, and more supportive of student learning moving forward. As we review the changes, I'm going to start at the top of the document. So if you've printed off a PDF of the SBPR to follow along, that's great. You don't have to, but just a quick note that if you are in Synergy and you're filling it out, it's going to look different than some of the pieces here on the slide. What we have on the slides next are the PDF that you would share with families. So they print a little bit different when filling out Synergy versus the final PDF copy. So you're going to be looking at the final copy as we move through this. The first change that we're seeing here is up in the attendance box. So that did carry over from the previous SBPR, and we've added an additional line item for days of early exit. That information should automatically populate from Synergy, days absence, tardies, if a child did leave early, as long as someone has entered it in Synergy. So check with your clerk, check with your secretary. They can actually I'm pretty sure they can retroactively go back and add those things if a child did leave early. And this just gives you another data point to share with families that they're really missing some key instruction and we want them here at school. The next two lines are just the rubrics, and you'll see that we kept the 1 through 4, but updated the language, what a 1, 2, 3, and 4 mean. And it better aligns with students' performance on a standard in school at that moment. So again, you'll see that expectations covered in this marking period. It's really a point in time measure. So just a quick example, if you're a first grade teacher and you're teaching the standard for adding and subtracting within 20, and you've only really covered adding within 10 during the first trimester, and a student showing you that they meet those expectations, they get a 3. And as you move into more complex learning, they might drop to a 2 during the second trimester if they just can't quite get that subtraction piece. And that's totally okay. If you haven't taught or assessed it, be sure to put in that NA. It's totally appropriate, completely appropriate to mark an NA. As teachers, we can explain to families that it's just a standard that we haven't covered at that point in time, and that should be addressed in future instruction. You are still required to work towards teaching all of the standards, even if you don't report on them. And again, this rubric here is just effort. We've actually updated the personal and social development boxes. We've changed that up to include the skills, habits, and mindset, which you'll find on page 3 when you fill it out. That change just better aligned with the state priority standards and hopefully reduces some of the subjectivity of the previous list. The ranking scale is going to be the same as the previous effort grades. You can check that out, E through I here.
on exactly what they mean. So this is just on the front to provide a rubric for teachers and for families. That being said, there is no longer an effort box in the content area. The old SBPR had a box for an effort grade for ELA math in particular, and that's no longer there. So we just took that out. It better reflects that we're working towards mastery of the academic standards, that these boxes are focusing on student achievement rather than effort. One of the big pieces that we heard from a lot of people was the idea about the clusters. There was some confusion. So we took those out. And now on, for ELA and math, it's just going to be a single standard. Each row is comprised of that single standard. It's going to have the domain, grade level, standard number. We drew on the priority standards from the APS Units of Study, the New Mexico Public Education Department's instructional scope, and the Achieve the Core for math. That's what you are asked to report on, is those priority standards. You're still expected to teach all of the grade level standards, but just reporting on the core priority ones. The one thing that we did include was the foundational skills. That I don't think was identified as priority standards for the lower grades, but the task force, the district, and the union all agreed that those are really priority standards. And we want to make sure that those are included for you all. So that's still there. So you'll still be able to do the foundational standards, but these are priority ones that you're going to fill out for the new SBPR. I've already gotten a lot of feedback on this, and a common question is, why is opinion writing the only writing standard listed on the SBPR? Opinion writing was designated as that priority standard because it integrates so many critical skills that we expect students to show, like stating a position, supporting their ideas with evidence, organizing logically, communicating effectively, all that jazz. The other two genres, while definitely important and definitely something that I know you all are going to continue to teach, it's just not something that you need to report on. So no narrative, no informational standards to mark up. Definitely feel free to share that work with families if you are doing a narrative writing at conferences. And if you don't get to opinion writing during one of the trimesters, just put that in A. Also, for the 4th and 5th grade, we did include a writing production and distribution standard. Just reflects the craft of writing, develop, revise, share their writing effectively. So that's been included for the 4th and 5th graders. So there's one extra one for 4 through 5. And same thing with geometry. Geometry standards are not listed on the SBPR. Aren't they important? Absolutely. They definitely are important. And all standards should be taught throughout the school year. You all know this. Just listing every single standard per domain, or even just listing every domain, seemed to make the document overwhelming and just difficult to use, difficult to interpret. And that wasn't the mission of the task force. We wanted to try to alleviate teacher workload and still make it easier for families to interpret and assess their students' progress. Academic support box. So this is still here, and just some background. The previous guidance was that it was to be filled in by the special education teacher, and it was to be used to communicate with parents about a student's progress in intervention programs. This box is kind of a holdover from before MLSS, back when RTI was still RTL, back when that was still in place, and we referred to special education as Tier 3. So the new guidance, and listen carefully, is optional. It is optional. You do not have to fill this box in if you do not want to. If you do fill it in, we recommend that you add some progress towards intervention goals that you've been working on with students during the trimester. It's recommended that teachers, share some details during the parent-teacher conferences, hear about those interventions, or in the teacher comments section. Also direct families to parent view, where they can check out the MLSS Layer 2 or Layer 3 plans and the attendance plans that are in MLSS. So again, this box is optional. If you do not fill it out, you might see this error form. That's okay. If you fill it out, great. If you don't, that's great too. Another change that appears is this alternative language section. The previous guidance was to enter the language assessment scale scores line. That's been updated to reflect the standards-based measurement of proficiency, the STAMP score instead. So this shift just ensures reporting aligns with the current assessments that's being used to measure language proficiency. Now, for all ELD students, for those English language development students, make sure that you are entering that WIDA access score. So that does go there, and that you're clicking the ELD box to indicate the student is currently receiving ELD services. So you're just going to make a mark of a 1 through 4 for those ELD and students in the areas of language arts and communication for social, intercultural, and instructional purposes. And if you do a little bit more in this box, or if you want more guidance, check out that other video. I think they do a great job of explaining it. Like I said, if a student is ELD and being served in a bilingual, multilingual education program, then you're going to use the bilingual SBPR form and then fill out the alternative language service box. If you have any more questions about this, definitely refer to this link. It should be provided in the description below. If you have any additional concerns about how to fill this out, that's totally okay. Make sure to reach out to the language and cultural equity team. They did an amazing job of providing information about this. So if you have any additional concerns, reach out to them. If you need help accessing a student's WIDA access score, there are 2 places. It can be here through Edvantage and Synergy. If you click on these links, it will take you to a step-by-step how-to for getting those scores. So definitely check that out. And then finally, if you need any more guidance, the language and cultural equity team is phenomenal. They do great work. You can access some of their slides here. All right, so now we're just gonna look at some resources. Since the new SBPR is aligned with the priority standards from the APS's Unit of Study and the PED's instructional scope, the programs are structured a little differently. SAVVAS and iReady, have their own kind of scope and sequence, but these are resources to help you find some of those priority standards embedded into the program, into the programs that are district supported. The SBPR is not tied to any particular program, but many of you are using these resources, and so this is another place to find some of the priority standards that are addressed in the SBPR. If you haven't already, with the ample amount of time that all elementary education teachers totally have, make sure to check out the Units of Study and the instructional scope. The Units of Study is really awesome. They've got a lot of great things on there to follow and implement. And then the instructional scope gives you more information about priority standards and the skills, habits, and mindset. Definitely check those out if you can. Here are a bunch of other resources for you to browse through if you need anything with many of the things we talked about. A lot of how-tos, a lot of correlation guides and resources. We do hope that this change supports you all, and we look forward to hearing from your feedback. You as teachers are the heart and soul of APS, and we want to hear from you. So be sure to speak with your colleagues, fellow teachers, your teaching and learning coaches, your principals, your Fed rep, union officials, district officials about the new SBPR, and send us your feedback. We want to know so that we can make it better next time. So head to Let's Talk if you can. Spread the word if you made it this far. We really appreciate everything you do. Thank you all for joining me, and take care.
If this video was helpful, just hit that like button. We really look forward to gathering your feedback.